So, race 2 out of 22. Let's have a look at the starting grid for Senior Rotax Heat 2, Groups B versus C. So it's 28 drivers on this field, 14 rows. So, top 3, all rounded out by Great Britain. Mark Kimber on pole position, Lewis Gilbert from, and also Callum Bradshaw. We've had a spinner on the formation lap, or the sighting lap, going through into turn 2 and 3. So these 3 drive, and also, so Mark Kimber, former junior Grand Finals champion. Callum Bradshaw rounds out the top 3, current senior FIA World Karting champion. So it's a top 3 lockout for Strawberry Racing. Linus Hansen from Karchmi rounds out the top 4 rows. Luna Blum and Lachlan Robinson from the Netherlands and the United Arab Emirates complete the top 6 positions. Behind them, Nicolas Picot and Lucas Schoenmakers. Had a good chat with the young Dutch driver. They ran out row 4. Schoenmakers looking forward to the event this weekend as a senior. Matthew Higgins makes his Senior Rotax European return here at Karting Genk, the youngster from Trafalgar in Wales. He lines up on the inside of row 5 with Benedikt Vida from Hungary, rounding out the top 10. Felix Jansson and Teddy Clinton round out row 6. Alexander Abkazava from Georgia, that is with Oscar Christiansen from Denmark, that's row 7. Theo Eriksson from Norway, Dylan Leger from France, that's row 8. Brian Hamida Sode and Daniel Armstrong rounding out row 9. Armstrong, this is his first time in a senior, and what's more, he's come to Europe to do it as well. I've got to give that young lad credit. Marcelo Vigna-Parhord and David Lackner from France and Austria round out the top 20. Rounding out the 28, it is Beard Dorrestein, Wood Kirstens, Emma Weinreich from Denmark, Enzo Calderas from France, Stormbrower down in 25th position. The Dutch driver from SP Motorsport is ahead of Mads Albert Jorgensen, Christopher Saxe and Leon Arndt. So, again, another 10 minutes plus an additional lap. So with the top 2 qualifying groups yesterday in seniors, an average cumulatively, well, when you look at it, you divide those gaps, so that's 80 thousandths of a second. Divide that by 2, it's 40 thousandths as terms of a comparative average. But it is down to Kimber and Gilbert to control the pace. Red lights ignited on the starting gantry here. As they come out of turn 12, they split. Head into the tram lines. Are we ready? Are we steady? Let's go racing. And there's a disaster. That is possibly Schoenmakers that might have dropped a little bit further down the order as they hurtle their way through into turn 2 for the first time. And it is nearly 4-5 abreast as everyone's squabbling for position. Henson up into 3rd, but round the outside, that was Callum Bradshaw trying to go round the outside of him. Now we've had a turnaround, and that's through the exit of turn 4. Driver manages to get back out on the circuit. And those Mojo wet weather tyres will also have a little bit of dirt, a bit of wet dirt going through there, so a bit of mud thrown in. But at the moment, well, Lachlan Robinson looks to have made his way up into 4th position. He's gotten ahead of Linus Hansen, last year's Rotax Germany champion in this very class. So this now really becomes a bit of an aquaplaning dogfight, if you will. But the top 3 starting to break away. Robinson trying to put the brakes on. Car switching to the left-hand side, going through into the right-hander at turn 10. But already, Mark Kimber's scarpered away into the lead. He's done exactly a textbook, well, not as dramatic as what Leicester did after lap 1, as he hurtles his way across the start-finish line. Looks where Lewis Gilbert is. And then Callum Bradshaw rounds out the top 3. Linus Hansen looking up the inside briefly on Lachlan Robinson, going through into turns 1 and 2. The German looking to take a wide line to cut back in up the inside of the UAE driver. Neatly does that through turn 2. And then right behind them, that is Oscar Christiansen. Matthew Higgins now going toe-to-toe with Nicolas Picot. And that is youth versus experience right there. Higgins not giving up. Oh, he absolutely tried to go back up the inside of Picot. And that allowed Dylan Leger to get through. Or maybe that was Lucas Schoenmakers. But there is an almighty squabble. Higgins has lost a couple of positions. As now a little bit further back. Yep. you can just see that, oh, Pico runs Schoenmaker's a little bit wide. Well, that wasn't Schoenmaker's. It's possibly Dylan Leger from PKS Competition. And Schoenmaker's looks to be dropping another few positions at the moment. The Dutchman's struggling in the wet weather conditions. As Henson, well, it looks like in the meantime, Bradshaw has closed on Gilbert for second position, both under the Strawberry Racing awning. And Gilbert just pulling ahead, but goes wide coming out of turn 12. Bradshaw could have had the run past him as the rain again is starting to intensify. It's quite consistent, but now the Rooster's Tails are really starting to rear their ugly head here as Bradshaw up the inside of Gilbert, going through into turn 2. And he's got the move. Well, he actually went round towards the outside. Then Gilbert. Oh, no, you don't, Lewis Gilbert. That nearly gave me a heart attack right there. Oh, my goodness me. He tried going around the outside of Bradshaw into turn 4, but thought better of it. Lifted off the throttle. Good call there by the Dual Diamond. But then he's going to be right up his back bumper imminently. Oscar Christensen, in the meantime, has got his way up into 5th position. So Lachlan Robertson back where he started down in 6th. Linus Henson rounding out the top 4. Pico, Leger, Clinton, who started, down in 12th position. He's now into P9. Beer Dorrestein rounding out the top 10. Matthew Higgins in 11th position ahead of Marcelo Vigna-Parhord, who started down in 19th position. Lucas Schoenmakers started 8th and now is down in 13th. Daniel Armstrong, in the meantime, has got his way up a little bit further up the order, I think. And he started 18th. He's now P14 with Georgia's Alexander Abkazava behind him. And they round out the top 15. Kimber continues to lead after the completion of lap 3. Gap between him and Callum Bradshaw now 2.6 seconds. Lewis Gilbert still rounds out the top 3. And then Henson in 4th. And they're all squabbling over the scraps over the dinner table at the minute as drivers are banzaiing up the inside, going through into turn 2. And in the middle of all of that, you've got Matthew Higgins now. We've had a pushing time penalty given. That has been given to Nicolas Picot for pushing. So that will be added to his race time. That might have been possibly for maybe where he squeezed Matthew Higgins going through into turn 5. But obviously that is down to race control on their decisions. As a little bit of a contretemps, a little bit further back, too wide going through turn 7. Not easy. And then you've also got Teddy Clinton has actually gotten ahead of Matthew Higgins and now is up into P10 and he's closing down on France's Dylan Leger. Behind them, you've got Higgins, Vigna-Parhord and Daniel Armstrong. Oh, now there's been a bit of a spin. So someone went for a bit of a 180 on the outskirts of turn 9 going through the apex. Halfway through the race we go. Kimber still leads. It's still a 1-2-3 for Strawberry Racing. So you have got Kimber, Bradshaw, Gilbert and Mads Albert Jorgensen. The 365 from Denmark started in 26th. That looks to be that's going to be a retirement, the first one of the weekend. And there has been some time penalty issues issued by race control for leaving the corridor with 2 wheels. So that's coming out of the tram lines as all. That was possibly Marcelo Vigna-Parhord. I think they just went outside and went a bit wide. Did a Matthias Ekstrom going through turns 4 and 5. As you can just see under the brakes, these karts are really, really unstable, especially when you see drivers trying to control a little bit of a drift going to the left. So the back end stepping out, the tyres are trying to spool to gather traction, and it's not quite working out. But Higgins definitely in the trenches, as Dylan Leger has now got Teddy Clinton ahead of him, and Higgins, wanting to do his level best, is trying to keep in the tow and looks towards the inside of turn 10. Cheeky move by the young Welshman. And he gets past Dylan Leger, who now drops down into what is going to be 11th position. So Higgins in 10th. So at the back part of the top 3, Lewis Gilbert has dropped off from Callum Bradshaw, and the gap between them is now 4 seconds because Gilbert, in the last couple of laps, was doing a 1 minute 14.5 previous lap, and then this lap a 1 minute 14.7. He was 1.7 seconds off of the pace that Bradshaw is showing, and Bradshaw's just put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 13 0.057 as Linus Hansen now coming under fire from Denmark's Oscar Christiansen with 3 minutes remaining. But Gilbert is ahead of this duo at the moment. Lachlan Robinson very much running a slightly lonely race there in 6th position, but good consistency from the Dubai-based driver. We've also had another time penalty issued now, and that is the 396. Lucas Schoenmakers has been given a 5-second slap on the wrist from race control, courtesy of a situation that involved pushing. So Schoenmakers is currently 14th. That could possibly drop him outside of the top 15, maybe even towards the bottom echelons of the top 20. So we've also had now the big Nicolas Picot has been hit with a 5-second time penalty. Well, it's not, there's plenty of penalties going out in this race because Nicolas Picot has just been hit with a 5-second time penalty for leaving the tram lines with all 4 wheels. So he broke formation, and he is currently sitting in in 8th position. So that is going to hurt his race result this time around. As we head into the final 2 minutes of this race, plus 1 additional lap. And the rain is continuing to fall at the same intensity as it did a few minutes ago. So the track is evolving, but it's in the reverse to what drivers prefer. They would rather have a bit of track evolution. They'd rather have some rubber down on the tarmac. But this surface is slick. There's standing water puddles now starting to appear. And the drivers really have to take those optimum lines. As now I've just seen that Callum Bradshaw is again closing. He's trying to close on Mark Kimber. The gap is now 1.4 seconds between the pairing. And Gilbert's just put in his best effort of a 1 minute 14.171. Top 10 rounded out by Matthew Higgins. But the battle now between a couple of drivers, Linus Hansen and Oscar Christiansen, that's the battle for P4. They're not too far behind Lewis Gilbert. And up the road from them, Callum Bradshaw is trying to close in, as that looks to be Luna Blom that's been in the trenches, unfortunately. The 319 from JJ Racing is about to have a lap put on her, and has had that happen, courtesy of both Kimber and Bradshaw. And we have a mechanical black flag, the first one of the meeting, and that is for the 391 of Marcelo Vigna-Parod from France. So from 13th, the Frenchman will have to park it. And that is effectively a technical exclusion. So the gap now between Bradshaw and Kimber. Kimber now still leading. He's led out from lights out, and it's close to being checkered flag at this particular moment. But Bradshaw has got to within 1.1 seconds of him. Oscar Christiansen still trying to close on Linus Hansen, and Hansen wallops the curbs going through the left-hander at turn 5, and that pitches the kart slightly sideways. But Oscar Christiansen trying to close in, going down the back straightaway, down the Europolan. He's going to get rather up close and personal. And this time around, we will get the final lap board. But Mark Kimber has got Callum Bradshaw closing in on him. As you can see the difference in terms of varying lines of where these drivers are finding traction on the circuit, as Oscar Christiansen takes the tighter run through turn 9. Leaders now about to go onto the last lap board, the last lap itself, which is now the board is being brandished on the start-finish line. So Kimber, his lead has been truncated. It was just under 1.1 seconds. The gap now, 0.664. So Bradshaw again, on that particular lap alone, was 0.42 seconds quicker on his previous lap, and he still holds the fastest lap of the race. We're on the final lap. So it's a good start for Kimber and Bradshaw. So Dylan LaHaye, our first provisional race victor of the 10 races for Senior Rotax today. Leaders go down the Europolan for the final time. And if the conditions weren't as dramatic as they have started to become here on the circuit, I would think that Bradshaw would have been a little bit closer to Kimber. But however, the biggest thing now is about the consistency. And they are rather close coming through turn 9. Down towards the right-hand sweeper at turn 10. Kimber turns in, as does Bradshaw. Just bringing the carts home. That's the biggest thing. You need to survive what is going to be an absolutely difficult day for these drivers. But out to the final corner. Mark Kimber takes the checkered flag, becomes the second heat victor for Senior Rotax. Callum Bradshaw in second place, just under 8 tenths behind. Lewis Gilbert rounds out the top three for Great Britain. Linus Henson from Germany in fourth place, fractionally ahead of Oscar Christensen. 0.44 was the difference between those two. Lachlan Robinson, a solid sixth position for the driver from the UAE. And he managed to get himself up into fourth position in the early throws of the race, but it is about being consistent and securing your place in the top 30 for tomorrow. Beer Dorrestein in seventh. Nicolas Picot will be hit with his time penalty post-race, but I don't think that's going to affect him too badly. That could probably put him maybe down to ninth place as a result of it. Teddy Clinton takes ninth at the flag. Matthew Higgins in 10th ahead of Dylan Leger, Daniel Armstrong, Marcelo Vigno-Parod, who did get a technical black flag, so I would think that may be excluding him from the results. Felix Jansson, Lucas Schoenmakers, Storm Brouwer started all the way down in 25th position and made 9 places in that race up to 16th. Benedek Vida, Enzo Calderas, David Lackner and Theo Eriksson round out the top 20. Alexander Abkazava, Wout Kirstens, Leon Arndt, Emma Weinreich, Christopher Sachse, Ryan Hamidas Sodir and Luna Blum was the last of the 27 finishers at the end of that race, with Mads Albert Jorgensen parking it with 8 laps to go.